I was told as I came in this magnificent building that if I were to go out to my left or right as I came in, that I'd say bullet holes in the facade of this building as well. I can understand, Mr. President, how some of your countrymen would feel that the world didn't respond to the existential crisis your country is facing rapidly enough, or with the appropriate amount of solidarity and compassion and empathy. And that's why, Mr. President, you've known me for a while, that's why I wanted to personally be here and was asked by the President to personally be here to represent him, to tell you and all of your colleagues and your countrymen how very, very, very sorry I am, the President is, the American people are, for the suffering and loss you have endured. You gave me an example in our private meeting of, you said, a very friend of yours who named his son after you. He and his son were killed in this coup. This is not something that is distant. It's not something that is only read about in history books. It's personal. It's personal. And I want to make sure, I want to make it unmistakably clear that the United States stands with our ally Turkey. We support the people of Turkey, and our support is absolute and it is unwavering. As I said in a press statement earlier today, this attempted coup was an attack on the people of Turkey, not just the government, on the people of Turkey and their most cherished values. It was a violent betrayal by a small group of folks who were sworn to defend the very people they say they care and love. We stood with you from the moment it began, Mr. President, and we stand with you now. We are your allies. The American people also stand in awe of the way your countrymen responded, the way you responded personally, going on the internet through, I guess it was on Facebook, I'm not sure which vehicle you used, with a portable, with a cell phone, telling your people to rise up, take back the street, do not let these terrorists, which is what they ended up being, steal their patronage. They're who they are. And it was amazing as the world watched. They went to the streets. As I said to you earlier, I can't imagine, they probably had no idea whether another F-16 jet would come flying along. Whether all of a sudden as they marched out to make their views known, whether a helicopter would rise up to gun them down. The world saw Turkish patriots, ordinary citizens, literally standing in front of tanks. Standing in front of tanks. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think I'm incorrect, some of them actually got run over by those tanks. As I said, I personally, the President personally, the American people stand in awe of the courage of your people. And we understand, Mr. President, the sensitivities the Turkish people feel about their national security. That's why the United States is committed to doing everything we can to help bring justice for all those responsible for this coup attempt while adhering to the rule of law. As I said earlier, even as we speak, our American experts are on the ground here in Ankara, meeting with your people, closely coordinating with our Turkish counterparts to evaluate and gather material with regard to Turkey's request to extradite Gulen in accordance with our bilateral extradition treaty. We have more lawyers working on this case than any other extradition in recent history. And I've been around a long time, Mr. President. I've been in the Congress for a long time. I was head of the Judiciary Committee. I know of no other case where as much time is being spent to make sure we find enough data to meet the court standard. I know it's hard. I don't know. I suspect it's hard for your people to understand that as powerful as my country is, as powerful as Barack Obama is as president, he has no authority under our Constitution to extradite anyone. Only a federal court can do that. Nobody else can do that. If a president were to take this into his own hands, what would happen would be he would be impeached for violating the separation of powers doctrine. And so, Mr. President, it's not that we have any reason, and your people should know, any reason to protect Gulen or anyone else who, in fact, may have done something wrong. As a matter of fact, you recall, Mr. President, when Gulen sought refuge in America, the Bush administration denied it. He went to court. It was a court that overruled the President of the United States of America, allowing him to be there. So, Mr. President, in this case, like all others, is going to have to be assessed by an independent federal court, along with evidence backing it up. That's what we're working on together now. And it takes time to work an extradition request, but there should be no doubt that we'll continue to work closely with the Turkish government as this process unfolds. The people of Turkey have no greater friend than the United States of America. And as I said earlier, I want to offer my personal condolences and those of the President to the people of Turkey for not only what they went through in the coup attempt, but shortly after that, over 50 people murdered, apparently from what we're told by ISIS, in a suicide bombing where 28 or 29 young people under the age of 18 were killed. The suffering of your people at the hands of ISIS, at the hands of the PKK in the southeastern part of your country is beyond what any people should have to sustain. The barbarism is horrifying, but neither the Turkish people, nor, might I add, Mr. President, the American people, neither of us ever buckle, ever bend, ever yield to terrorist threats or terrorist action. So, Mr. President, we always have good conversations. Today was no exception. I look forward to continuing to work together with you and your team as we find even more ways for our nations to keep expanding our partnership and jointly taking on this mindless terrorist activity that goes on around the world. Let me say for one last time, the American people stand with you. We stood with you in the beginning. Barack Obama was one of the first people to call, but I do apologize. I wish I could have been here earlier. I wish I could have been here earlier. But, Mr. President, we admire your people, and we admire the way in which you're standing up to all this difficulty and tragedy.
Ve güç durum karşısındaki duruşunuza hayranlıkla bakıyoruz.
First and foremost, thank you very much. Mr. Vice President, distinguished members of the press, valuable guests, I would like to salute you all with my most heartfelt emotions. Vice President of the United States of America, Mr. Joe Biden, bestowed upon us the pleasure of hosting him in our country for the second time this year. Of course, this current visit coincided with an extraordinary time during an extraordinary process, which saddens me, actually. I wish that we could have greeted each other under the most normal circumstances instead of what prevail currently. I would like to welcome him once again to our capital city, to our country. Especially the failed coup.
Girişimi sebebiyle sonra da basın açıklamamızı tamamlamış olacağız. Önce misafirlerimize söz verelim.
Mr. Vice President, the U.S. is now flying with Turkey in the Jarablus offensive. Can you talk a little bit about what that means for U.S.-backed Kurds and the overall operation in Syria against Islamic State? And President Erdogan, U.S. officials have indicated that it could take years to work through your extradition request. You just said that you want this to happen as soon as possible. How is that difference going to affect your relationship going forward? Thank you.
Carolee, in terms of the operation in Jarablus, we strongly support what the Turkish military has organized and done. We've been flying air cover for them. We have mutually known for some time that Daesh, ISIL, is there. And we believe very strongly that the Turkish border must be controlled by Turkey, that there should be no occupation of that border by any group whatsoever, other than Syria that must be whole and united, but not carved in little pieces. And we hope to continue to work with Turkey closely on continued operations that will root out Daesh, but we're supportive of the operation. I hope that answers the question. It's a simple proposition in America. We are a nation of laws. We are bound by a constitution, and we are sworn to uphold that Constitution. The Constitution and our laws require for someone to be extradited that the court of the United States has to conclude there's probable cause to extradite. Not only do we apply that standard as it relates to extradition, we apply that standard to everything we do in our own country. For example, you've read of 3 or 4 of the terrorist attacks that have recently taken place in my country. The FBI had followed 2 of these people. One of these people had said he'd like to see Americans killed, that he was a proponent of Daesh, that he had sworn to Daesh. Notwithstanding the fact he said that, under our law, there was no direct threat against anyone. There was no ability to detain him. He ended up going out and killing people. We mean what we say when we say we apply the law without exception, without exception. What we're doing now is we have a team of our lawyers and experts. They were here in Ankara yesterday, sitting down with your experts on the judiciary and your prosecutors.
Teşekkür
Does anybody know just what
Thank you,
they
dear
are?
friends. Thank you.
Just how they grow, what do they need, and what do they do, and what are they used for, and by whom?
My methods take heads back like sandbag.